Fuel prices surge again, and now a sharp political clash is unfolding. Accusations of misinformation are emerging at the highest level of government. Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna has openly accused President William Ruto of misleading the public following a sudden and significant increase in fuel prices barely 2 weeks after the government assured the Kenyans that the situation had been stabilized. The sharp rise in fuel prices has once again placed the cost of living at the center of the national concern, and according to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, now new fuel prices took effect from April 15th through May 14th, 2026. Super petrol has increased by nearly 29 shillings per litre. Diesel has seen an even steeper rise, over 40 shillings per litre. Kerosene, however, remains unchanged. For millions of Kenyans, these changes are not just numbers, they are a direct hit on daily life. Transport costs are expected to rise, food prices are also likely to follow, and household budget already stretched are under renewed pressure. It is against this backdrop that Senator Sifuna had issued a strong rebuke of the government. In his message, Sifuna said, "It is actually a crime under Kenyan law for public officers to give false or misleading information. We have been told a bunch of open lies about the fuel situation, with Ruto himself as recently as 30th March telling us that strategic interventions had mitigated price increases, only to hit us with a 40 shilling increase in 2 weeks later. Let me not even mention that expert, in quotes, or his string of lies. We are placing the pain at the pump squarely on President Ruto." That is Edwin Sifuna's statement, blaming President William Ruto. In a statement released on April today, the Nairobi Senator now questions the credibility of earlier assurances by the President. He pointed to remarks made by the President Ruto on 30th March, where he had, the head of state had indicated that government interventions were helping to stabilize the fuel prices. At the same time, the President cited global disruptions, particularly the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, as the major factor affecting oil supply chains. He noted that these disruptions were placing pressure on economies worldwide, including Kenya. But he also reassured Kenyans that his administration had taken strategic steps to caution the country from immediate shocks. Central to this assurance was a government-to-government fuel procurement arrangement, and according to the President, this approach had helped secure a fuel supply and limit price increases. He described the intervention as both prudent and also forward-looking. He further indicated that the Minister of Energy, working alongside the National Treasury, would continue monitoring global trends and also take necessary action to protect consumers. However, the latest price adjustments have raised serious questions about the effectiveness of those measures. Senator Sifuna argues that the sharp increase coming so soon after President Ruto's assurances undermine public trust. He has further described the earlier statements as misleading. The senator has also suggested that providing inaccurate information to the public could have legal implications under the Kenyan law. His remarks place direct responsibility for the rising cost of fuel on the president. The position is likely to intensify political pressure on the current administration, and at the same time it reflects growing frustration among citizens. And across the country, motorists are now already preparing to adjust fares. Public service operators say they have little choice. Fuel is a major concern and a cost component in transport, and when prices rise, those costs are passed on to the passengers. For commuters, this means paying more to get to work, to school, and also to essential services. And for businesses, it means higher operational costs. And for families, it translates into more difficult financial decisions, and the ripple effect is wide. From farm to market, from factory to shop floor, fuel costs influence nearly every sector of the economy, and as prices rise, so too does the cost of the goods and services. This creates a cycle that is difficult to break, and it is one that many Kenyans are now grappling with. The political response has been swift, and Sifuna's statement also targeted unnamed government advisors, suggesting that some of the guidance influencing policy decisions may not be reliable. While he did not provide specific details, his remarks add another layer to an already complex issue. And at its core, the debate is about transparency and accountability, how the fuel price is determined, and what factors are considered, and how these decisions communicated to the public. These are the questions that are now being asked more loudly. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority maintains that fuel pricing is influenced by global market dynamics and international oil prices. Exchange rates and supply chain disruptions all play a role. In recent months, global tensions, particularly in the Middle East, have contributed to volatility in oil markets, and this has had a direct impact on countries that rely on imported fuel. Kenya is among them, but while global factors are important, local policies and decisions also matter. Taxes, levies, and also procurement strategies can significantly influence the final price paid by consumers. And this is why calls for greater transparency are growing, and the citizens want to understand why, or rather not just the what, but also the why. Why are prices rising? Why were early assurances not sustained? And what is being done now to address the situation? Within government, the Ministry of Energy continues to play a central role. The Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi is expected to oversee ongoing efforts to manage the situation, and this includes monitoring global trends and also working with the agencies to explore possible interventions. However, as pressure builds, expectations are also rising. Kenyans are looking for clear, consistent communication, and they are looking for solutions that address immediate concerns while also providing long-term stability. The current situation highlights a broader challenge facing many economies. Balancing global realities within domestic needs is not easy, but it is essential. For Kenya, the stakes are particularly high, and fuel is not just an economic issue, it is a social issue. It affects livelihoods, it affects access to opportunity, and it also affects overall quality of life. As the debate continues, political leaders, policymakers, and regulators will need to navigate these complexities carefully. Maintaining public trust will be okay, and so will ensure that decisions are both informed and transparent. For now, the focus remains on the immediate impact, and as the petrol stations across the country, the new prices are already in effect. Motorists are adjusting, businesses are recalculating, and the households are bracing for the days ahead. The coming weeks will be critical. They will test not only the resilience of the economy but also the credibility of those tasked with managing it. And as fuel prices rise and pressure mounts, the question now is not just about cost, but about trust, accountability, and the path forward for millions of Kenyans. That is all for today from Kenya Lens Media. Kindly, if you are new here, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing our content. Hit the notification bell so that you can get notifications each and every time we bring you a new content.